Hey y'all, it's Kelly from Dixie Darlings, and I'm back with another tutorial for y'all today. So a lot of y'all know that Cindy at Southern Belle Glitter and I are always trying to think of new and different ways to use foils. Y'all know I'll put them on pretty much anything I possibly can, and I have done it. So Cindy mentioned to me one day Mercury glass, and I was like, let me Google this up just to make sure I know what you're talking about. And when I saw it, I was like, oh yes, love this. This could have so many different things that can be done with it. So I'm actually gonna show y'all two different varieties. I actually attempted this cup several different ways before. I loved it. I just kind of, it was the look, but it wasn't like perfect. So I just kept trying and trying and trying. And then finally I did come up with one. And I'm actually gonna give you two varieties because sometimes Mercury glass has more of a streaked look. And then sometimes it actually has like a circular look in it. So I'm gonna power wash one of them with a silver and gold metallic, but I'll show you both varieties and I'll probably even show you the first one I did and y'all are gonna laugh at it, but it's okay. I laughed at myself. I kept looking at it on the turner over there and I was like, I think it just looks like tinfoil on it. So I just kept trying. So y'all know sometimes it just doesn't work out the first time. But I do love the final results. I love the actual both varieties with the power wash and the one without the power wash. So I hope that y'all enjoy it. I will link all the products that I use in the description box below. So y'all make sure to check out those links. I'll also include some discount codes for y'all. So make sure you don't miss the discount codes. And like I always say, hop over and join my Dixie Darlings Tumblers Facebook group. We have so much fun over there. It's my way to interact with y'all. I go live on Sunday nights and Wednesday nights, and once a month we did Fun Full Friday lives, and then just a lot of impromptu lives we've been doing lately, just for various projects I've been working on. So hop over there and join us, and thank y'all so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, y'all, I am going to show you the two variations to the cup. What I'm going to do on a 20-ounce skinny, and the other ones I'm going to do on a 30-ounce skinny straight. Both of my tumblers are from Craft Haven. I've sanded them with my sanding block, and I've spray painted them with just Rust-Oleum's 2X Gold. So it's just a metallic gold. I chose Rust-Oleum's 2X to use on both of my tumblers. And then I'm going to take Southern Belle Glitter's adhesive here, and I'm just going to brush it over the entire cup. Now, you can use the heat gun to speed up the drying process. Just because I wanted this to lay and hold the foils on there, I wasn't going to pull the foils off. I decided just to let it dry naturally. I just kind of walked away. It dries in 5 or 10 minutes. It doesn't take very long, but it will go from the white that you see me painting on here to a clear, and when it's clear, you know that it's ready to apply the foils. So after I've let that dry, I'm just taking the silver foils from Southern Belle Glitter and a silver gold foil. So the first one, I kind of wanted it to not have too much of the silver appearance. So I'm going to use the silver and the silver gold because I thought it might mute down that stark silver a little bit. So I'm just going to take little pieces, and you can see I'm just crumpling them up. Because these are easy release foils, the silver that's on the backing of this, you'll be able to see it come off on my hands. So when crinkling it up, it's not necessarily going to any kind of adhesive because it's easy release. It's kind of just coming off the paper. So you can see once I've got it on here, you can see a lot of this has already come off. And that's kind of the look that I wanted, this kind of distressed look for the Mercury glass. So I'm just going to do that all the way around the cup. Now this time, just because I was using two different colors, I cut them in little squares. You can see this silver gold does the same thing. You can actually kind of see it coming off in the air here. And I'm just going to put pieces on the cup. I know I'm going to go in and power wash this one, so it didn't really matter to me as much where the seams were. I tried to line them up next to each other, but I knew I was going to power wash over this. So you can kind of see that crackled look that I'm going for. And when I started researching, I did a little research on Mercury glass, and it actually was originally a colored glass that was double-walled, and they used silver nitrate in the center to color it silver in between. And then over time, they found that it created this crackled look. So that's why sometimes you will see some that actually look solid and some that actually is a colored that has the crackle in between. Sometimes it's just the silver crackled. And now it's kind of recreated in a different way. It's kind of made a comeback. And it originally was just used for, they say it was the first glass that was actually used for kind of decoration instead of a utilitarian purpose. and it goes back to the 1800s. So I did do a little research. It was kind of interesting to find out how they did this and what the uses were for. So, but you can see I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to cover the cup basically in little segments here. And then when I show you the second variation, you're going to see me, I'm just going to do it all in the silver. But I wasn't exactly sure when I was going at this attempt that I wanted the whole cup to be in silver, so I thought it might mute it down a little bit. And then any of the little areas, sorry I didn't say this before, where it's hanging over the end or it's overlapping, because I don't want to put epoxy over that, I'm just going to trim those edges off. So if you have a place that it overlaps or on the end, I just trim that off with my craft knife. And then I'm also going to cut a circle, and I'm just going to go in on the bottom. I do end up just putting a little silver around through there, but I thought, well, let me just do like the butt of the cup down there, just with a little piece on it as well. So I kind of did that center insert. And so you can kind of see this is what I've got. I know I'm going to power wash it again, so I'm not too crazy about the seams. And then as soon as I get this on here, because I'm not pulling the carrier sheet off, I'm leaving it on there, I am going to go in with a layer of Counterculture's Quick Coat. This is a urethane sealer. I let it dry for about 30 minutes, and then I'm going to go in with Counterculture's Medium Viscosity Artist Resin. I'm going to take Cullen by Feather Bear Bling. You can see it's just an additive here. I'm going to take a little scoop and I'm going to mix it into the epoxy. I just wanted to add a little bit of extra sparkle that would be on that coat underneath. I'm going to mix that in. And I've got about 25 milliliters of medium viscosity artist resin from Counterculture here. And I'm going to apply that to the cup. I'm going to use my torch to pop any bubbles. And then I'll let this coat dry for about 6 to 8 hours before I'm going to go in and do my power wash. And after this coat's dry, I'm going to go in with a power wash. I've got the Rust-Oleum 2X green, and I have a Krylon sterling silver here. So I will link those in the description box below. I'm going to use my Dawn power wash, and because I want this pretty symmetrical, I don't want any big areas that are covered by the power wash. You can see I'm standing back a little bit to try to get a consistent spray over it. There's not big areas of it. And I'm just going to go in with my Rust-Oleum 2X metallic gold here. I'm going to do pretty heavy coverage over it, and then I'm going to go back with the silver after I get the gold pretty much covered, and just add some little areas where it's more of a matte silver. This Krylon was the sterling silver instead of like a metallic bright gold. So you'll see me just do little areas of it, and then I do go back in with the gold and do just a light mist over it, just so it's not that stark silver again. And I'm just going to go, you see it's kind of a mist here, and you can tell the wind's blowing, so it's not getting really heavy coverage on there. But I just wanted a little bit just to kind of blend it back in a little bit. And then I'm going to rinse my cup off after I've done that, and you'll see the power wash effect. Now I let that dry for about an hour, and I do another layer of Counterculture's Quick Coat. So after you power wash, before you go into your layer of epoxy, definitely add another layer of Counterculture's Quick Coat, because the epoxy will repel if there's any areas that are wet after that paint. So I just always seal it with the Quick Coat just to make sure. And then after that dries for about 30 minutes, I am going in here with another layer of Counterculture's Medium Viscosity Artist Resin. I'm not using an additive this time. I've just got straight epoxy. This medium viscosity again. I use about 20 milliliters here, between 20 and 25, and I'm going to apply that to the cup, use my torch to pop any bubbles, and then let this dry for about 8 hours before I go into adding my decal. And now I'm going to take this 30-ounce Skinny Straight, and I'm going to show you guys the second variation. So again, I've sanded my cup, I've spray painted it with the Rust-Oleum 2X, and now I'm taking these silver foils, and I'm actually just going to cut them down to size. Had I done this again, I probably would have cut it a little bit larger. I cut it pretty much true to size, so it didn't give me a lot of wiggle room, especially after I crinkled it up. So I would give yourself a little bit of spare room here, like I did not. And again, I'm going to use Southern Belle Glitter's foil adhesive. I'm going to apply a pretty generous coat here. You don't want too much. Anywhere that it looks like it's kind of pulling up, you want to smooth that out because you don't want that. The foils just seem to adhere better if you just get a pretty consistent thin coat. And again, you can see where it's white while I'm applying it. Once it dries clear, which just takes 10, 15 minutes, it doesn't take very long. And I'm going to let this just kind of naturally dry instead of using my using my heat gun, which you guys have seen me do at times. I just let it dry naturally. I'm going to come back and crinkle up those foils and apply them. So I'm letting that dry. I'm going to take these foils and I'm going to crinkle them up. You'll see that this comes off. It's going to get all over your hands. You might want to wear gloves. After I did this a few times, I did learn that you might want to put gloves on because it will get all over your hands. And I just start crinkling it and make sure I get all the edges and just kind of get it ready and kind of the look that I'm going for before I apply it to my cup. And then I'm going to carefully apply it. I'm going to lay it. I actually laid my cup down on this silicone mat, and you can see I'm just going to try to get them as straight as I can and apply them as best as I can. It's very hard once these foils are crinkled up to get them to lay perfectly flat on the cup. You're going to get little creases. I just kind of went with it. I thought, you know what, it just adds a little bit of character to the cup, and I'm going to do the best I can. But if there's areas that crinkle, it just adds a little dimension and a little character to it. And I went about laying the foils on the cup in a similar fashion that I do my vinyl. I thought, let me just try to get it as smooth as possible and wrap it just like I would a sheet of vinyl. It's just a little bit trickier just because you've already crinkled this up and it's not going to lay perfectly flat, but and then when I get to the overlap part, again, I just take my craft knife and I'm just going to run it right down that seam, just as close as I can to the edge, and then just trim off that excess so you won't have any of that extra. And then I just did the same here. I just cut a little circle and I put it on the bottom, and I'm just trimming off the excess. And then here again, I'm going to go in with Counterculture's Quick Coat, and I'm going to apply a layer after I have the foils applied to the cup. Then I'm going to let that dry for about 30 minutes. Then again on this one, I'm going to take Cullen from Feather Bear Bling. I've got about 30 milliliters because this is a 30-ounce skinny straight. And I'm just going to apply a little bit to the epoxy, and then I'm going to mix it up. And then I'll apply this medium viscosity artist resin from Counterculture again to the cup. I'll use my torch to pop any bubbles, and I'm going to let this coat dry for about 6 to 8 hours before I go in and apply my decal. Now the decals that I'm going to apply to the cup, both of them are from Lettered by Stephanie. She has a monthly SVG club that's normally closed, and there's a waiting list to get on, and you actually can kind of pay extra and you can get all the files that she's ever done, and you get about 15 a month at least. I would say that's on the light side, but they are such great files. I love her SVG club. I actually have a link where you can join anytime, and I'll link that in the description box below. But they're all hand lettered. She does a beautiful job. She throws in extra, during back to school for teachers and Christmas and 4th of July, all kinds of different holidays, and so she always throws in extra, and they're always amazing. I love using her files, so make sure if you want to join that SVG club, you can find the link down below as well. This one I'm using a Worthy and Loved, and I've used a champagne, and actually in the final result, you'll see that I go back in with a holographic over it. I wanted it to blend in, was my idea for the decals on these cups, but this one, I just wasn't 100% happy with it. I thought you can see it, but I don't just love it, so I just printed it off in the same size, and I do a layer of epoxy in between. Here again, I'm just doing 30 milliliters of Counterculture's medium viscosity because I didn't want there to be a seam or a line where I was laying one decal on top of the other, especially with that holographic. You can kind of see through it, so I actually do a layer of epoxy first and then go back. And then on this one, I do do. The favor of God can take you places hustling can't. This was one that Stephanie did for me. She added it in the SVG club, but it was kind of one that I requested. And then this one on the Worthy and Loved. So I love how these turned out. I hope that you guys like it. Please give me your feedback. Let me know what you think on these. One of them's going to Cindy and one of them I'm keeping for myself. So we may argue over which one, but I actually like the different techniques. So they look a little bit different, but I love how they both turned out. So I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope this was beneficial for y'all. If you like my tutorials and you don't want to miss future ones, please hit the bell button and subscribe so you don't miss my future tutorials. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll see y'all again soon.